Let me just wait for it to show up on YouTube first. Might take a few seconds. Oh yeah, okay, cool, we're live. All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our second community call for the retroactive funding. As usual, we have a few slides to click through. I'll just be clicking through the slides for Ellie. But yeah, without further ado, Ellie, maybe you can take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Max. And so as you might know me, so I'm Eliza, governance and administrator for the Oval Collective. And in this time, we have like a pretty big agenda for today. And it's our second community call. So our agenda is going to be around RAF1 results. We're going to kick off the meeting with that, following with some news about the token house, its launch, how we should proceed about that, and like the first two proposals, which are staking and unlock the token. And yeah, and then we are gonna go through some other news about the coin list sale and governance dashboards that we have some special guests who are gonna hear in the call. And yeah, so you can actually like ask them the questions, all the questions you want. And by the way, if you have any question, please feel free to chat in the meeting, and we will go and reply them. You can next slide. Yeah, awesome. So okay, so RAF1, round one, public goods. And so like this was the first iteration of this long commitment that we have about the retroactive funding for the Oval Collective. In this case, as we know, could be next slide. Yeah, so as we all know, it started on February 3rd, and were like projects applied until like certain time, and it ended up with the results. We shared the results last Friday on the February 21st, and we distributed 1 million OVOL tokens, and the distribution of those OVOL tokens were decided by the delegates, so by most of you, I would say. So that was pretty good. And we have some feedback later in the call that we can all check. So if we see in the next slide, we have like a total participation of 51 delegates that represented 73.3% of the total voting power. And in total, there were like a lot of projects applied, and 46 projects were approved and were funded in this first retroactive funding program, and which is the first of many. So if in case you want to participate in another RAF and in another round, there will be always some time to do it. So it's gonna be like, we don't have a date yet, but it's gonna be like in the near future. I can ensure that. And in average, like 21.55K OVOL tokens were distributed per project, and 43% were above the average. As I said at the very beginning, the results allocation were defined by qualitative funding, and I share there the link of the blog post in case you didn't visit it before. So the association defined some categories, some tags for make the views a little bit more organized. And as we see from here, based on those categories that were defined, 42, like the majority of the portion of the retroactive funding was allocated to infrastructure and tooling, followed by education and advocacy, and third place, DVT integrations. And then like we have some small percentages on security, community and awareness, and research and development. Yeah, so these are like, as I said, like these are tags defined, but it's not like one project was only allocated to one type of category. So actually we have so many projects that actually like contributed to many different ways, and delegates were the last ones, or like were the ultimate resource saying how much they wanted to allocate to each of the projects. So if you continue, yeah, so it's small, but like you see from here, the total allocation per project. So going from the 1 million to the different categories, from like the smaller number to the biggest one, and in all different projects that how they were funded, but defined by those categories. And so you can see like we have the rough results in the blog, and at the same time we have a public spreadsheet that it was defined or it was shared by the association with the results. So there are like two tabs. One is like the total allocation per project, which is basically the total amount of tokens that each of the projects will get. And another one is like how delegates voted, but delegates were defined in an anonymous way. So we don't want to disclose how, like, I mean, we don't want to disclose how each delegate voted. They had the forum for that. And yeah, and but for the ones who decided not to disclose their votes, then it's, I mean, you can rely that the information is private and there's no name shared in the spreadsheet. So, and if you're an applicant and your grant is not final yet, what means is like I'm gonna, or the association will be in touch of you about the KYC process, and I have pinged some already. Some others don't have the contact, so please feel free to reach out to me. And some others I will reach out later today. So to align on next steps for the KYC, and I will tell you exactly and after that what's going to be required and when you should expect to receive the tokens. So I don't know if we have one of our guests. Awesome. And so we should have actually Lensky, which maybe is not yet here.
I don't see Lansky.
Okay, and we can continue and then he can share. So one gonna like what's gonna happen now, we will have like a guest for, or like actually like a guest for like the first project, like the one with the biggest allocation of tokens, who was in that node, and one of the co-founders will share some thoughts and will tell us from his point of view how this project contributed to the overall collective vision.
In the meantime, should we have Tama cover it? He said he's happy to.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Hey everyone, nice seeing you for our second community call. So we've actually been working with DAppNode for a fairly long time. So for those that don't know, they provide staking hardware that actually is very useful when you're looking for running your own nodes. Obviously, we've been big supporters on the Ethereum front there, and they developed a noble package that allows a number of people who are running DApp nodes to team up and create a squad, or even to team up with people that are not running DApp nodes. So they've had this package live for a while. I think it says here there's about 17,000 validators running on DApp node. And for me, I'm super happy to see a project like DApp node being first in a RAF, because they really represent what's important about Ethereum and all the censorship resistance. It's like all these home stakers. And finally, with Obol, we're able to make home stakers also resilient and more performant. So super excited to see them here and contribute to their success as we continue together. And I think with what happened over the weekend with Bybit and calls for rolling back the chain, etc., it just reminded me how important projects like DApp nodes powered by Obol are important. The chain is censorship resistant thanks to projects like that. So I'm really pleased to see them as number one in the first draft.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So in the second place, we have Ethereum and ARM, and I don't remember the exact number of tokens they got, but and it's the one that like the most delegates allocated their tokens on, or their voting power, I would say. So, Tom, I don't know if you want to say some words there. Otherwise, I can also happy.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so like, yeah, as it says in the slide, like enables users to run DB nodes and on low-cost devices. And like there are like some different, I would say, like programs that you can, like Raspberry Pi, Jetson, and Rock Pro 64, that is easier to operate and in the centralized nodes. So yeah, so basically like, and it's really also, so it's aligned with what the OVAL collective is, or like the vision of OVAL itself. And then the third one, which we also had a guest, but I don't know if the person is here, it's Ethereum. So Ethereum is as it says in the slide, it's an open source software solution designed to simplify the development and management of Ethereum nodes. And there's some type of key impact metrics that they find in the application form that you can see from the slide. Cool. So we gather a lot of feedback from delegates and from applications. And I grabbed I would say like the most important, it's not the most important ones, but some of them. And we are actually like building towards like a round two to make those improvements and to make the life of both delegates and applicants like easier. So some of them have issues with the Gitcoin app in terms of like connecting with Safe, and yeah, some other small issues. And then like there was like another feedback on like the deadline, so it would be better to have it in weekdays instead of like weekends, because I would say like some of the applicants like couldn't find a way to reach out to some other team members, because of like the timeline. And then yeah, and then like the timeline was not very specific in the app, so it was in the guidelines but not really in the app. So this is something that we need to improve and for next round. And thanks, by the way, for all the feedback. And then like about the projects, so it was actually like quite difficult to understand like some of the projects, and understand like the impact and impact metrics specifically. So when like the links were not really visible, and actually it was not really easy to understand like the real impact metrics. So it was not like easy to find a KPI for what they were like defining in their application. And the last one, and about like the top 100 delegates that were like selected for this round, quadratic voting mechanism was not clearly explained, and therefore were some back and forth and with some delegates that they wanted to participate, but they were not in the top 100. So these are actually like all lessons learned for us and things that we are going to consider for next round. And some updates here. So Gitcoin. So we took the application is from Gitcoin, and they are already like launching a new platform, which is really like it improves a lot of like the feedback we received. And as you can see from there, like they are focusing on impact metrics and define by, for example, in this case, by the association, and each of the projects needs to say exactly like how their impact metrics work, and a definition and not just a line on how they define and just some random number. So it's promising, and there's still a long way to go, but I think we will have better user experience in the next round.
We do have Lansky now. Should we go back to Dapnode and hear from him?
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Lansky, for being here.
Hey.
Hello.
Yeah, of course. Sorry for the delay.
No,
Yeah, so super happy to have been so successful on this. Really appreciate everybody's votes. I think our mission with OBOL our mission has always been to make it extremely simple for anybody without any technical knowledge to be able to participate into Web3 infrastructure. People with technical knowledge as well. You'll find that if you try DAppNode, there's like a set of tools VPN access, remote access, and auto updates, and yeah, I think it's been. I mean, the data is there. You can use OBOL on testnet and on mainnet using DAppNode. We have many participants doing so, and we have around 1.4 billion of TVL. Those are those 16,000 validators on DAppNode, as reported by their graffiti. So that's a substantial amount of ETH in there validating on DAppNode. So we remain committed to making it extremely simple for these people to continue staking and for being able to decentralize the Ethereum validator sets through DVT, thanks to OBOL.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and like having some words for like presenting the project, and congratulations to the whole DAppNode team.
Thank you.
Awesome. So now we are going to continue. And so this is RAF1. Like, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat and or in the Telegram group, like for those who are delegates and are there. We are going more moving to the token house and the first voting cycle, and which actually started last Thursday. So how does the token house work? So the token house is our second house, or is our second arm of our dual governance and foundation. So we have like the token house and the RAF. RAF is retroactive funding, and the token house is ready, or is the one that is suitable for all type of proposals in related to changes to to create the roadmap to decentralize the association. And so in the token house, anyone can submit a proposal in the forum and anyone can comment. So it's not only for delegates, it's for anyone, or not only for delegates to vote, for example, like anyone can submit a proposal and all delegates can vote in this case. And not only, for example, the top 100, as it was the case of RAF1. And so you submit a proposal and you should have, or like you must have an endorsement of the top three of the top 100 delegates so that can pass into an on-tape voting that is made in tally. So you have in the forum actually some like different proposals and type that you can use for, and I mean, you can use as categories to start like proposing something for the OBOL collective. So overall, how it works. So you have 2 weeks where you can submit proposals, you will receive feedback, and you should get the approval from 4 of the top 100 delegates, as I said before. And after that, you should draft like all the feedback that you gather, and if you get the approval, then it goes to tally, which is the on-chain voting, where if it passes, and then like if it passes with a certain threshold and certain quorum, then the proposal will be implemented by the OBOL collective. So this is the governance cycle 1. So the governance cycle 1 started on February 20th and it runs until March 5th, where you will have you can submit the proposals and you will gather the feedback, and everything is going to happen in the forum. This is very important. Then from March 6th until 12th, there is the on-team voting, where delegates can vote for and against a proposal that was introduced in the forum. If that and then you will vote on those, and based on like the total voting, it will, so we will know if the threshold is met and the quorum is met, then we can, and it was approved, then it will go to the implementation part. And then like when this starts, it's a cycle of 3 weeks. So after the third week, the governance cycle 2 starts. So in March 13th, we'll have the second cycle. And this is like a loop, so it goes, and like the cycles are every 3 weeks. So we have another host for the building and enabling staking for the OBOL token. This was in the first proposal that started in the forum, and it was created by Tali, and actually one of our delegates, Cool Host Girl, who is here, if I'm not mistaken. And I would like her to present this proposal for all of you. Thank you for being here.
Hey guys. Okay, I dropped the link in the side so you can follow along. But yeah, I'll run through this proposal really quickly. So we've had this in mind for a couple of months. Tally helped launch the OBOL Collective, and we also spoke with their core team about the possibility of staking, which they were interested in. At Tally, we first began talking about launching the Tally protocol, which is liquid staking for governance tokens, about 6 to 8 months ago. And since then, it's been moved on to build, I guess, in Arbitrum and Rari publicly, at least. So that means that both of those DAOs have voted to build the staking. Of course, like OBOL, it's not yet been enabled because the protocol is still undergoing audit, which will be done March 20th. So OBOL, of this proposal, I guess I'll emphasize it has been built, or at least is in the process of building. The key thing for delegates to enable is staking. Okay, so I'll run through the actual proposal really quick. So like I said, you guys may be familiar also through this, especially in Arbitrum DAO. There's 2 key differences I'll run through. But basically, we're proposing launching staking for the OBOL token. The percentage allocated of the token supply was recommended by the core team, 1% from the OBOL Association Treasury towards staking rewards for token holders. If you stake, your staking won't be dependent on staking to an active delegate, at least for now, which is a big difference from the Arbitrum proposal. I just want to note that for the delegates in both. The creation of a liquid stake token for OBOL will open up a few opportunities. One is in DeFi integrations. Tokens will be able to be used in DeFi, so that's that third effect. They'll be able to use in DeFi and for governance. So you can go ahead and deposit your OBOL tokens into any DeFi contract, and you'll still maintain the governance rights. You can maintain them by delegating to yourself and voting yourself, or they'll still remain delegated to whomever you've delegated to before, during, or after you've inputted those into DeFi. Okay, I'll work backwards here. The second one is resistant to capture and governance attacks. So one of OBOL's core governance objectives is capture resistant mechanisms. If the cost of attacking the protocol, aka just buying up enough tokens to gain 51% of voting power, ends up being less than the total funds held in the treasury. This is very common in DAOs and was famously in Compound DAO and ENS DAO. Then the DAO will not be able to shoot down malicious proposals because they won't be able to mobilize and afford it, frankly. So what staking does is it increases the number of tokens locked in governance. So the cost of an attack increases, and thus the Obol collective becomes more resistant to those attacks. Okay, then finally, we're hoping this will increase participation. Right now, to be honest, right, we know that a lot of governance tokens are not much more than meme coins. Token holders need a clear reason to participate, and they need to get value returned to them for owning that token. So yeah, without incentives, governance becomes a pretty passive activity. We've seen the like DAOs get less and less and less, I guess, active over time. So we're looking to front run this by implementing staking for Obol from the start. By introducing staking, Obol holders will be rewarded for your engagement in governance by delegating or delegating to yourself. Like we said in the bottom of this proposal, you can see some potential future developments. Some of these require quite a bit more fleshing out that we want to involve the DAO in. That would specifically be, defining an active delegate, and then you have to delegate only to an active delegate to earn staking rewards. We can do a few different things down the line, but we'd like to involve the DAO in that and just push out this very first part of staking. I'll emphasize this will not cost the DAO anything. The build has been paid for, and we just need to enable it. It's undergoing audit right now. We will share everything as soon as it's done on March 20th. And we also want to launch the staking platform for Obol on Tally. You can feel free to DM me anytime. I'll put my Cool Horse Girl on Telegram. Feel free to DM me anytime to discuss the proposal. I'd also love to have it out in the forum and or the Telegram chat. But then I work on BD at Tally, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Anything that I probably can't answer, anything too technical, I'm happy to grab an answer for you and get back to you. And finally, wait, maybe I'll say the action plan I'll paste in here. There's the action plan. So, kind of got messed up, but proposals posted. We want to get approval from 4 delegates within the next week and a half. Also, I'll be at Denver if anyone wants to speak in person, and my flight's in an hour and a half. And then we'll submit the proposal on Tally for on-chain voting on March 6th. From there, it'll be enabled on March 20th, should it pass, and we'll be good to go. So that's my speech. Anything else I can head up?
Cool. Thanks for coming up, cool CSG.
Yeah.
So I think from my side, what I'm pretty excited here, like a staking mechanism is not something new. Like most tokens at the end of the day probably go towards that. But when I heard about the Tally protocol, like the way it wraps up like multiple issues that DAOs or collective have within the staking mechanism, like just made sense to me. So making sure we protect against attacks, making sure that we keep like an active governance and that it doesn't die. And then to answer the question there around the 1% of the token supply, today that was decided just by looking at what would be attractive enough in terms of people to be able to stake, to create a bit of like a supply sink for when we go through TG as well. And so if we think that around, I don't know, 30% of the tokens will be staked, and then you can take a look at the circulating supply. I think we published the unlock schedules recently as well. Then you get like an APR around 4 or 5%, which I thought was relevant for people to go there. So that's where the 1% comes from. Now, I don't want people to get too hung on this, not only because it can change. So this is something that the collective can decide to change, but also because the mechanism itself and the staking module is actually pretty flexible in terms of the source of rewards. And you can see that in the proposal. I think what you see is a lot of projects out there going towards being yield bearing from the revenue they generate as a protocol. I think this would be something really cool to have in the future, where instead of being a percentage of the association treasury, it's actually the protocol revenue. So the 1% of staking rewards that Obol distributed validators charge. So there is different ways of getting that yield. I think to bootstrap this initiative and making sure we keep governance active, this 1% makes sense. It's relatively low cost on the supply side, but I definitely see this evolving towards a more sustainable source.
Awesome. So I guess we'll have some questions later in the chat. So what I would recommend is to move forward with the next one, and then at the end we have the Q&A section, and yeah, and then like we can all reply like the questions that are there. Thomas, the floor is yours if you want to, from the association side.
So the association itself also submitted a proposal, which I suspect a lot of you will be in favor of, which is to unlock the OBOL token. I think we've made a lot of progress over the last 2 months. So we distributed, as you know, a locked airdrop, and it was great to be able to engage in governance. The OBOL RAF was the very first and very successful step in that direction. Today, we've also announced our coin list sale, which is ongoing, if you're interested. And we're really seeing a lot of the momentum around OBOL starting to build up really from here. Also seems that with the Pectra upgrade on Ethereum, there will be a lot of attention on the Ethereum ecosystem, which is in the end where we play a lot. So this proposal is about enabling the transferability of the OBOL token by unwrapping the tokens that are stuck in everyone's NFT currently. This will then make the token liquid, and then we will work with exchanges to go towards public listing, increasing the liquidity, working with market makers, and the contracts there to unwrap the NFTs will also be audited and shared with all of you. So this proposal is essentially giving the approval for the association to pursue that unlock and the listing on centralized exchanges, or not. That's essentially what it is. Of course, we cannot give dates on the centralized exchange yet, not only because we need your approval first, but also because this is also up to the centralized exchanges, and they're quite busy with different launches. We're quite confident that we can get a nice spot, but it will be up to them ultimately.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, let's see the questions later. And in this proposal, we already have like 2 approvals, but we still need more. And yeah, and also like whoever wants to like send the feedback in the forum, please feel free to do it either for or both, either for this one or like the one from Tally or both. I mean, happy to receive all the feedback, gather all the feedback, and do some summary afterwards. Cool. Moving forward. So we have one guest, and the other one I will present myself. And so NT is here, and he and Retro like did 2 different dashboards, and who are like very useful, I would say, for delegates and for actually ourselves as well. So thanks for that. And I wanted to invite NT to present his dashboard, and like for those who don't know NT or who don't know the dashboard, this is also a good opportunity for that. So thanks, NT, for being here.
Oh, thank you for the invite. Well, and I'm very glad to hear as well that it's been useful. So really, the dashboard is a done dashboard like any other. I built it originally just because I was curious about what was happening with OBOL and the delegations, and to get more information, to maybe even hopefully try to inform how I could go about my delegate platform. And then with feedback and just some other ideas, we started growing on it. So for example, at the top, there's some information about the airdrop, like how many tokens have been claimed, how many are remaining, and the last day you can claim them. Then there's also links to the collective, Twitter, etc. At the middle, there's some queries that show the voting power, the percentage, and the amount of delegators that each delegate has. There's also some statistics around frequency, like how many delegators within this range of tokens do each delegate has. So there's some delegates that have like a lot of people with small allocation tokens, and there's some delegates that have occupied like bigger or more wells, you could say. Um, then a bit down, there's just one query that shows the all the transactions for delegations. So you can see who claimed and to which delegate, to like which delegate they choose. And also if someone changes their delegation, you can see the column from, and the column to shows that they changed, I don't know, from NT to Elisa or whatever it is. And down, the last section is something I'm still working on. But the idea is to have some more information on the contributions to the collective, because like these are key to the collective, obviously. And right now we are just tracking the oval Lido splits, the splits on Lido, mainly Lido simple DBT, that have some allocation to give back to the collective. It is denominated in wrapped stake ether, but it should soon be updated, so it includes other splits in EtherFi or vanilla squads, and I'm checking to have it all denominated in Ether and or USD. Pretty much welcome ideas for other stats or any other things that can be added. But right now, I think that's the scope so far.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so it's like pretty awesome how like actually our delegates are like contributing in these ways for the collective, and actually like for all the different delegates. So this is, I mean, I know by because of some other people like reach out to me, like that was super useful. So thanks. And like for anyone who wants like some, I don't know, have some ideas or want some like want to give some feedback, NT and is the one who built the dashboard, and yeah, or otherwise
Thanks.
happy to be the bridge between the two delegates or two people. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Cool. And then we have the second dashboard, and Recho couldn't make it today, but he send me like the link, and I kind of know about that. So this is another dashboard, like delegates can use it and to understand like how the voting power is allocated among all the different delegates, and it's sorted by ranking, I would say, like from 1 to actually like total delegates, which is 3,854. And so we have like all like on, so you have the list there, you have like the actually the percentage of the total and for each one of the delegates, and how many delegations they received and under the voting power on the right side. Some other useful information that you have here, you can click on delegate profile and it brings you to Tally, so you can actually see in each one of the delegates if you're like curious on any. And some KPIs is more like about like total voting power, and that is like all around in the different delegates. And yeah, that like then like the ones who are like seeking delegation, and then on the left side you have some links to the main websites, or like to the links to the main pages and within the oval collective. In case you have doubts, and Retro is one of our delegates, so I didn't ask him if I can share the Telegram. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I can send you in his way. Cool. And the last topic, if I'm not mistaken. It's about CoinList community sale, which is live, and Toma is from the association, and we'll speak about that a little bit more.
Cool. This is just a quick plug, really, because you are our core community, and we want to make sure you also don't miss on this to get on the OBOL token sale on even better terms than our venture capital providers or advisors. So if you're interested in the OBOL sale, check it out on CoinList. It's live. Also appreciate any amplifying you can do within your own network. Token sales with the community has been something that's been rising quite a bit in the recent months with Echo, Legion, and CoinList now. I think before us on CoinList was Wallet Connect, which was 4 times oversubscribed, and I can't share numbers yet on this one, but super happy to be able to open it to our community as well ahead of TGE if that proposal gets passed. So yeah, this is it. Check it out on CoinList. Thanks for amplifying, and thanks for tuning in today. Super excited to see really governance start to steamroll. Thanks, Elisa, for managing all that. We have the RAF now. We have the first proposals. Looking at TG, so really excited about the future of all we're doing at the collective.
Okay, there were a few questions in the chat, so I will find the first one. Sorry, I need to scroll up a bit here. Okay. So Pavel is asking, how did you decide 1% of the OBOL token supply? Why not more? Why not less? And maybe you can explain what he means by that.
Yeah, so this is with respect to OIP number 1. So for the staking proposal, I think I explained it quickly earlier. 1% in the end will result around 3 to 5% APR, which I think is a good incentive for people to stake. It creates a bit of a supply sink as we go towards DGE. And then I think there was another comment which probably feeds into this one, which is how do we make this sustainable? And this is what I explained around the source of the staking rewards can evolve over time. They can even be something else than the OBOL token at some point. Today, the revenue by the protocol is probably better kept within the core team to invest and keep building more partnership and develop the ecosystem. But ultimately, we can make it what we want. So the yield could actually be the protocol revenue, which is very similar to what a lot of other protocols are doing, whether it's Etina or Aave, let's say. So the goal is to become sustainable, but to kickstart the process, I think a steady 1% for the first year will actually get a long way to make sure there is like a fixed APR, more or less, let's say, or at least a predictable APR, and then we can secure governance, make sure we have active delegates, and take it from there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. Ellie, I guess this was from someone else, but
Yeah.
will there be a list of countries whose members will not be able to participate in the RAF?
So I can reply?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, cool. So there isn't like a specific list of countries except the ones that are sanctioned, either by the US or the EU. So you're looking at the typical North Korea and like countries. I think they have enough money anyway now, thanks to the Bybit hack. If you have any doubts, feel free to DM me on Telegram. Happy to review these things. So this is really what KYC will check. Unfortunately, we're not able to give, or actually maybe fortunately, we're not able to give tokens to sanctioned countries. Otherwise, we would be liable for fraud. But otherwise, you don't have like in general, like US, EU, all these countries are fine.
Cool. And if you can post your Telegram in the chat, that'd be perfect. We just had a small question relating to Denver. I don't think we have any events happening at East Denver, but we do have a few team members there. So yeah, I guess reach out to one of us on Telegram if you wanna meet up with one of them. So there was a question from Jose. How do delegates show approval for a proposal? Because you mentioned that I think 3 or 4 of the top 100 need to approve
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so and I think it's in the documentation, but this is a really good question. And so like delegates needs to approve the proposals and in the forum saying like I am a delegate and I vote for this proposal and or I approve this proposal to move forward to the next stage, something like that.
Okay. Daniela asks, is there a set date for TGE?
As I said earlier, this is really up to first the proposal for the unlock passing, which then will allow us to start conversation with the centralized exchanges. And it's quite an opaque world, as you might suspect, and they still hold a lot of power on the listing dates. So if the proposal passes, we'll start the negotiations with them and we'll inform the community as soon as we know regarding TG. But if the proposal passes, the goal is to do it ASAP.
Okay, sounds good. Otherwise, there was a few comments about the proposals, but of course we can debate those on the forum. I don't see any more questions, so if anyone has questions, now would be the time before we wrap here. But yeah, if there's not any more questions, any final words from Eliza or Tomas?
No, awesome. Thanks everyone for joining in. Super excited about the future of governance and the collective. Look forward to chatting with you on the forum and excited about this first round of voting. So see you on the forum. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for being here.